you're very talented. I assume you became very talented, but I assume you're a fairly talented kid. Drawing on everything, it becomes apparent that this is something you love. When does that become a thing where you say, well, you know what, I could just do this. I could just go on doing this forever.
Really late on. It was like in my senior year of college. I mean, I was going to college as an illustration major, so I was thinking about doing art, like applied art as a career, but didn't really have a focus yet. And I realized that doing illustrations for like newspaper articles or something like that or posters wasn't going to get me that far, because there's like those jobs don't pay that much and there's thousands of people applying for them. And then I suddenly realized, well, in my children's book illustration class with Pat Cummings, the author illustrator, I realized that, I'm a writer too. Like I had kind of put that aside ever since high school and hadn't really thought of myself as a writer, but I realized I could write things and then illustrate them myself, and I could create my own content in that way and create my own opportunities to illustrate. And so in that class, I rediscovered all those early picture books that I was just talking about earlier. I ran to Barnes and Noble because that's where it was near my school, and I just ran to the children's section, took out all these books that I hadn't read in like 20 years, and I literally felt this ray of light just shining down into the children's section. And as I was like kneeling there with all the picture books, and I said, "This is it. I want to do this," and that because I love these books. And I guess I was too cool to admit it for a long time that I loved picture books, and I wanted to be a serious illustrator who does dark, gray and black illustrations with barbed wire and whatever. That was cool back in the 90s. Uh, and then I was like, no, actually, I like colorful, bright, friendly artwork that has cute animals and, is inviting and really makes you want to enter into the world of the book. Now my rabbit is trying to get into the room now. Sorry, Bun Bun. So yeah, that was a big influence. And Pat's class was really life changing for me because I had this teacher who was a working children's book author illustrator, and she embodied this thing that I just never thought could make a living at. Like I never thought you could really do this until I met her. So yeah, I forgot what the original question was. I apologize, but I had a story that I had written in her class for her class that she pulled me aside after class and said, I can sell this story right now if you want me to. And I was like, whoa, hold on, slow down. This is happening too fast. As a cautious person, I was just like, whoa, I don't know if I can handle this. But it turned out to be my book, Because Amelia Smiled. I wrote it in senior year of college and tried to sell it. HarperCollins was interested, but they kept on pushing me to make a little bit different art or, get the art right for the project. And I wasn't able to really figure out what I wanted to do with the art at that age. And I was just kind of in the midst of all these influences and learning about different artists and, wasn't really sure what I wanted to be doing yet. So I was trying to please them by illustrating the story in a certain way, and it didn't really work for them. They wanted to get someone else to illustrate the story. So I said, no, that's okay. I want to illustrate it myself. So after about 6 months of trying to get the art right, I just walked away and came back about 5 years later after many attempts at selling projects and after writing many different book manuscripts and illustrating them. And after coming back to Pat's class many times after graduating to meet special guests, like guest editors that they had, and guest authors that she had come in, and just giving people my postcard with my website and stuff. Finally went into Simon and Schuster with the class, and there was a portfolio review. And I had one of my book dummies there, and the editor wanted to buy it. So it took about 4 or 5 years after graduation to actually sell my first book.
So for those 4 or 5 years, are you just kicking yourself that you had HarperCollins right there and you walked away? You could have already had your debut.
Yes and no. I mean, I really wanted to illustrate it myself as an illustrator. So I guess like I don't know what would have happened if I had taken that path, but my pride and my just determination to illustrate didn't allow me to say yes to that. And I'm kind of glad I didn't just let them have it. I do think collaborating is cool, and like I wonder what someone else would have illustrated for that story, but I ended up many years later actually illustrating the book and publishing it with Candlewick Press. So, and you know what? I realized that was like my 8th book, and I realized this is a really hard book to illustrate, and I forgive my younger self for not knowing how to do it, because it changes locations and characters on every spread. Basically, it passes from one person to another. So to be able to illustrate that in a cohesive way was a really hard assignment, especially when you're just starting out.